On the next Ricki leg, her baby's fathers can't get along.
They got into a real bad fist fight.
He slashed all my tires.
Can't they stop fighting for the sake of their kids? That is all I want.
I could get along, but
It's the children. They're the ones who really get hurt.
His own daughter runs his high school.
You need help.
you need help.
There should be no reason why he should not be able to come to the house and see the kids anytime without a fight.
My baby's fathers can't get along. Can't they stop fighting for the sake of their kids? On the next Ricki leg.
People are raising children from past relationships, and hopefully all the parents are getting along for the sake of the children. But what do you do if you have two children by two different men and these dads can't stand each other? What would you do if the fathers of your babies acted like this?
I can't stand my wife's ex because he harasses myself and my wife and our daughter.
Every time I go to pick up my daughter, he threatens my life.
His daughter calls me daddy and he wants me to adopt her.
After he beat up my mother, it's not a safe environment for my kid anymore.
Today my guests are here to say my baby's fathers can't stand each other. Stop the fighting for the sake of our kids. Hard for adults when they end a relationship with each other, especially when there are children involved. But it's even more difficult for the children when their fathers and stepfathers can't stand each other. Before I introduce you to our first guest, this is Dr. Jeffrey Gardere, a relationship expert. Jeffrey, thank you for joining us once again. You will be listening from the audience, and later in the show he'll be giving advice to our dads so they can better get along for the sake of the children. But first, meet Mike and his wife, Bonnie. They have one child together, but Bonnie also has a child by another man, Craig, and Bonnie says that Mike and Craig hate each other. Bonnie, tell us, how bad have things been between Mike and Craig?
Horrible screaming and hollering at each other, threatening each other. Craig has gone as far as to end it all by promising to let Mike adopt and then turning around and changing his mind on Father's Day. He's done nothing but harass us all last summer by pounding on the door. His own daughter runs and hides from him because of it. She can't take it anymore.
I understand his daughter actually calls Mike Dad.
She does. On her own.
She call me Dad by herself. I've never ever told her she had to call me Dad ever.
And you're here today because you want there to be peace for the sake of the children.
I want it to be over. I want him to let Mike adopt and let our family become whole like his is.
I don't go to his house and harass him. I went to his house once to do him a favor, and his mother that outweighs me by 200 pounds attacked me.
All right, well, let's meet Craig and hear his side of things. Craig, come on out. Hey. Guys, we know there are two sides to every story. Craig, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
What do you have to say? I mean, they said you are harassing them.
Just trying to see my daughter.
Trying to see your
daughter? You've never tried to see your daughter. You come to my house, she's so terrified of you, she runs in her bedroom every time you show up.
And you can
keep that man away from me.
You can put a lot of things in a
Daddy.
5-year-old's head.
The point is, who just
When do I tell her when she wants to be a mar and have it over with every day? When am I going to be a mar?
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you didn't beat up my mother and then beat up Bonnie, you'd be like
He got attacked by your mother.
Wait. Okay, let's talk about the incident with your mother. What happened?
We went to drop her off as a favor to him because he doesn't like to drive to our house.
All he does is
He wasn't
complain
at
about
home.
driving
I
to our
left
house.
with the
Too far
child
to drive.
because she doesn't need to be there with people that aren't her biological
Okay, so how did that
parents.
happen? You leave with the
I
child.
went to leave and his mother attacked me. That is when he came to my
We're not
defense
we're not going to leave the child with his wife or his mother. Neither one of them have rights. The only person that had emphasized
Wait, isn't
had
his father,
any rights.
doesn't he have his paternal rights?
I was at
He
work.
doesn't have
I was at work. They stopped at my
He gave up
house
his
to drop
rights
my
at
daughter
that
off.
time when
They
they
found out I wasn't there.
Wait, you're going too fast and you're all talking at the same time. We're trying to understand. Craig, did you give up your paternal rights?
Yes.
Yes,
No, ma'am.
you did.
I have a copy of
Yes,
the
you did. You got
adoption
proof of it.
decree with me today. He gave up his rights, signed away his rights, and it's an irrevocable signature.
Been over a year. I'm paying $416 a month in child support. You can't see my daughter. So why not give up my rights? They're putting stuff in my daughter's head.
Did you not sign a paper that gave up your rights?
I paid for it. I went down to my attorney, paid for the adoption, told the lawyers that they don't let me
Who
see my
approached you with
daughter.
the adoption? You
What's the
approached
difference?
me with
Why
the
not get
adoption,
out of
didn't
it? So that,
Yeah, typical, huh?
there's two different ways to live. You got their way, I got my way.
You
You know?
said the paper is
Father's Day
irrevocable.
gets
There's
them
nothing you can
That's
do
when
about
the
it.
mind
Bonnie,
changes.
Nothing
what is
you
this
can do
like
about
for
it.
your children? What are they seeing? They're seeing two grown men fight like this. What do you think is happening to them?
She doesn't want to go there anymore.
How come when it's my weekend to pick up my daughter, and I bring a cop with me to go
How
get
come
my
when
daughter?
it's your weekend,
sit
you're not
laugh
there
out
on the
the window
time
and say,
you
"Come on,
set up
you
that you would
fucker,
be
kick your
there.
ass."
You're never there on time. When you take her, you don't bring her home on time, and when you do, you're drunk out of your mind.
Punch him. How many
Yeah,
times have you
well,
come to my house?
Guys, again. We're adults. Do you understand? We have to understand all of you. Bonnie, what do you want to say to Craig today?
I want him to finish and let us go through with our adoption. He adopted his wife's children, and they have their whole family,
And I passed
he
all the rules.
gave us the right.
Oh, you
I
can't
don't let him adopt because he's a visitor. He
Because
beat
you
up
signed
everybody.
away and have no more rights? The only thing you have is one phone call a week and you can't even call us when we're home? Come on, get it together,
How come
buddy.
they won't do a home study?
Because they don't need one.
They don't need
They don't need one.
Because
Exactly.
they won't let you adopt.
Yes, ma'am. What do you want to
Yes,
say?
they
All
will.
I'm waiting for is
I
my
just
domestic
I
classes
want
to
to
be
say
over and the
something to the
adoption's
biological
final.
father. If you signed away your rights of your own daughter, then what's the problem? Why are you harassing them? Why don't you let them get on with their life?
I didn't harass
She
them for
called
over
him
8
daddy.
months.
For over.
I never talked to him for about 8 months after I did that.
He's such a liar.
But what has since changed your mind, Craig? I mean, you did sign a piece of paper that gave up your rights.
Because he beat my mom up, and then after that, we went down,
You're a
and
lot
I
of
went
bad
down and I got all the
I
police
was
reports.
doing
Well, I
you
got
a
a stack
favor.
this big. I've been beating up women.
I was
That ain't a
doing
safe
him a
place for my
favor.
kid
That was
anymore.
the one and only
I've
time
been
I
with
went
him,
to
I
his
was
house.
out.
He pulled my daughter's arms out of socket. This one and then that one.
After she pushed my daughter down the street.
My daughter
Wait,
came
these
to
are
my house
serious
and told me
accusations.
that.
This is not something to laugh about. Mike, did you in fact pull Sarah's arms out of her socket?
No.
She said that she was hanging from a chair, and that's how she did it.
Okay, Bonnie, did you?
The first time Sarah's arms were pulled out of the socket, any mother
first
does this with
time-
their child sitting on the first time. She had her
Come
in the
on,
couch
go to your
fight.
room.
Because it runs in the family.
Okay, let me
If
explain
you
here.
can't pick her up by her arms because they will come out
The
of the
first time
socket.
any mother plays with their child, letting them lay down, pulling them up, that's the first time her arms slipped out.
You know, if
The
you like
second
picture
time, she
frames
was
on your
leaning
head,
over
that's
the back
fine.
of a chair, picked up her legs, and it's back quick. It
All right,
pulled up.
Bonnie, what about when you were in the hospital? Did Mike put you in the
We
hospital?
had a domestic, yes,
Yep.
but that was not what put me in the hospital. I had a
No,
migraine,
no,
and I
not at all.
asked to
How'd you
be
like
hospitalized.
five picture
and I
frames
did have a-
broken over your head,
I
a 2-inch
one
candle,
time-
nailing her upside
I
down,
went
shit,
to
nails on her head.
information
but I
from
also,
Craig.
I got the
from that
passport in my
point
bag right over
on,
there.
never drank a drop of
Were you
alcohol
there?
again.
All
I
right.
went to domestic
You've since
classes
been-
for it. I still go to domestic classes for it.
So you are a recovering alcoholic.
Michael
I
has
have
been
a faith,
dry
I
for
go to
1 year.
Okay.
do
Yes,
everything
ma'am.
that
What do you
I
want to
need
say?
I just
Unlike
wanted
you.
to say this back to the mother and to the father. If you two don't stop thinking about this child, in about 15 years, the same child's going to be on the same stage talking about how screwed up they
I don't
are
think
from
so.
coming from
You're
a
right,
dysfunctional
you're right.
family.
You are right.
Christian
That was
school
mistake.
now,
That
so
happened
this
already.
will not happen.
Yes.
To me, it sounds like you two men are struggling over power. That's
I
what
ain't
it
struggling
is.
over nothing.
Yes,
I
you
have the
both
power.
are. Okay,
You
So
have nothing.
See, you see what I'm saying? That
That's
comment
it.
right there.
She called me at
Excuse
Christmas
You're
time this
supposed to
year.
be adults.
Pretty
Making
lonely
comments
without your
like that
daughter,
is
huh?
not going to
Clay
solve
never called
anything.
me.
You really need to learn how to respect yourself and respect each other.
I see that this man
There's
can
no
handle you.
respect for him. How can you respect somebody that walks out on his daughter when she's 1 year old?
If I walked out on my daughter,
you want to adopt, and I've been there for the last 5
There
years.
her first day of school. Who was there when
Guys,
she got
wait,
out?
guys.
She skinned her first knee, and who bought her her
I'm
first
supposed
plate?
to
It wasn't
have
here.
rights to my daughter. I'm supposed to know where she goes to school. I don't know that.
Why
I'm
doesn't
supposed to be
she
out.
call
I
you
sent
Craig?
her.
She chose to call you Craig.
I
because
sent
you gave
her.
the crap out of her.
Mike, we're fighting over petty things now.
I sent
We
her
have a
piece of paper in the
6-year-old
mail.
daughter that needs to have a healthy environment in which to grow up.
And if he would stay out of it, it would be healthy. We don't go to
my
his house
kid.
and harass
It
him.
is my
He's
kid.
at our
Not
house
anymore.
every
You
week.
signed the papers. It's
I
over.
wish
Yes,
it
no.
one time to do him a favor.
It is
Yes,
over.
it is.
His mother
According to our side, it is.
Yes, ma'am. What do you want to say very quickly?
I don't think that he should be able to adopt somebody else's child. If that's his child, he should take care of his own child. That's his.
Yeah, he should have thought about that
But
when he walked
excuse
out when
me,
she was 1 year old.
He doesn't want to pay child support, and until his child support
I don't?
obligation is over, this was his idea.
Yeah,
Adopt
out of
my
paying
child so I don't have to pay child
Will you
support.
adopt my daughter so I don't have to pay child support?
All right.
Until she's adopted,
We
he
need to
wants
take a
to
break.
pay
Believe
for
it or not, there is more to the story. We're going to hear from Craig's new wife, who says there is no way she and Craig are going to give up custody of his daughter. More when we return.
Didn't I tell you? I
That she's gonna get back for me. You didn't want nothing to do with your kid.
Do you know someone who dates outside their race because they are fat? Or do you date outside your race because you're overweight? If so, you could be a guest. Call 1-800-GO-RICKY. You must be 18 or older to call.
We're talking to women who say their babies' dads hate each other and they want the fighting to stop for the sake of their children. Before we went to break, we were talking with Bonnie, who says that Mike and Craig fight all the time. Now, there's someone else who's involved in this story, Craig's wife, Lori. I'll bet you want to hear from her, don't you? Lori, come on out here. Lori, thank you for being here. What's your take on the situation?
What's my take? Well, Craig's rights are not terminated until there's an adoption decree.
They were
that
terminated
says
when you
so.
signed the paper.
Okay, Mike.
I have the adoption degree
Please.
that says they are not terminated until there's an adoption degree signed.
The fine print.
Also, our lawyer that we've been talking to.
Okay, Bonnie, I'm going to tell you too. Please, you had your chance to speak. Let her speak.
The lawyer that we've been talking to says he still has rights. And to the domestic that happened between Mike and Bonnie, we have the police report that says she was transported to the hospital.
For my
After he did beat her up nearly to death.
If you had 5 picture frames broken in your head, I'd have a migraine too.
I had a migraine before. Yeah, you were migraine from me too. You not only choked me, but you harmed your own child when you left her. Yes, you did.
Ricki, there are certain guidelines.
He was restrained from his own child when he left us for what he did to her.
I can't discipline you. I can't imagine how you discipline your children. I mean, really, we have to hear both sides. It's only fair. We heard from you.
Not only that, with the restraining order she put on him in the beginning, she did call and let her come to our house for visits. If there was such a problem, she shouldn't have let her come.
But my question to you is, why would Craig sign a paper like that to begin with? Yes, the adoption isn't terminated, it is terminated. We don't know, but he signed that paper. Why would he give up his human rights for this child?
They're one family because she's been brainwashed so bad.
We were going to Rainbow to get groceries one day.
Mom and Dad. She has to call us by our first name.
Exactly.
Who's the one who chose to call me Dad?
Why is she
You know what I'm going to tell you today? This is what Sarah.
When she goes
Wait,
down, she
let's hear what's...
Mike and Bonnie.
Mike. Hi, Mike. Never me. Bonnie, what
what we
did
got.
Sarah
I
ask
asked
you?
Sarah. I said,
to
I'm
tell
going
you?
to the show and I'm going to talk to Craig. What would you like me to say to Craig? Tell him I want to be a mar and tell him to stop coming to my house.
Just
And
like
tell
Craig
Lori
told me
to
he
stop
would do.
saying what's my name all the time because she doesn't want to call her
You're not her
mom.
mother, and you never will be her mother.
you're not
You're not her dad either.
It's
You
not
are
me,
her
honestly,
dad.
I am her dad.
Her dad.
You are her
I am her dad.
step-parent.
She has
Okay.
to be her dad. And
Time to come together for Sarah's sake. Don't you think it's time we
You're done
stop this
right.
fighting
You're
and we
done
come
right.
together for the
That's
sake of
The
Sarah?
only problem with that
Ricki,
is
I
they got my daughter so scared of me, she runs and hides every time I come in.
you did that yourself by coming out and banging on the house and screaming her name for the whole neighborhood to hear. Thank you.
Exactly.
I'm not
That was
gonna
your
do it.
Okay.
You did that all caused by yourself.
We're taking a backward step. We're supposed to move forward today. What are you guys going to do for Sarah?
There are certain
If you want to stay
guidelines
away from our house, the whole problem
that
will
you
be
have.
But you know what? He's still her father. He is still...
Excuse me, I know what we're going to do for Sarah's sake.
What are you going to do, Bonnie?
We're going to stay in contact with the people we've been in contact, and we're going to continue our adoption like it is.
And when
it is
my
still in
domestic classes
effect.
are over, the adoption
We
will be
are-
fine.
Why did it take you 3 months to go down and sign the paper after I paid for everything and
There's
signed
not a
it?
thing you can do about it.
Because you like the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Certain
It
guidelines.
really looks to me that you two are really putting thoughts into this little girl's head.
That's right, yeah!
And
That's right.
and wait, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Excuse me. Let me finish. You are not thinking about this child. You're thinking about paperwork. You're not thinking about
Well,
this baby.
the only thing they can do-
You're talking about petty stuff. You beating up his mother and all this kind of type of thing. And all that. None of you are thinking about this
You
baby.
defend yourself.
Excuse me. When you get teeth, talk to me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
You heard me. I don't.
To me, it seems like
Guilty. You pled guilty to being up Bonnie.
Excuse me.
You pled guilty to being
Harassment, Lori.
Orders on who?
Bonnie.
You don't have them on us, do you?
Mike.
Because we don't go harass you. Exactly, thank you.
Yes. What do you want to say, ma'am?
To me, it seems like the child is being abused mentally and physically, and I think all y'all need to get counseling for the sake of this child.
If I could get one thing on this show, I want one partner. Everybody.
You want a court order? I'm sorry. What do you want?
You want mediation for all of us, and there will be no mediation.
I want a mediation for everybody. So let's say Sarah's there, they're there, we're there. We tried this before.
I want it
Every one of them.
This is what I want you all to understand.
Guys, one at a time. Bonnie, let her finish.
Mike and I have been talking to a social worker all along. This adoption is going through. She says there is nothing wrong with the way we treat our daughter or take care of her. We have gone
Mike, you have to let your wife finish.
The public and the publicity and put her in a private school, a Christian school, where she is taught to let God lead her way.
So what do you tell her about her biological father?
She has a biological father. He has signed his rights away. We are in the process of adopting her, and we're taking the steps to get there. And that is what she wants.
There are certain guidelines that you have to follow in order to adopt. You cannot have.
That's why
You cannot have an
Bonnie,
too many times.
Bonnie, I let you speak. Now can we let Lori speak? Lori, now let me ask you.
She's gonna lie to you.
Why?
I have the paper to prove the fact that you are not the behavior.
Who got thrown out of court for swearing to a judge? By a bailiff, bodily thrown out of court.
Lori, why would you want, if Sarah is truly happy with them, if she really is referring to him as dad, and you did sign those papers, why wouldn't you let them have Sarah?
We cannot.
I really wanted to.
Like I said, Ricki,
They wouldn't let me see it.
One at a time. Children, one at a time. Greg was talking. Greg, why?
Hey, lips!
Can't repeat the question now. They got, I can't really.
Took so long, I can't remember the damn question.
Why I can't let them see or have them have my
Why
daughter?
can't they just leave us alone?
I'll tell you why.
And
Why,
let us be
Lori?
happy?
There are guidelines that you have to follow that I have received from social services
So have we.
as to what you need to go through for an adoption. You cannot have an assault as an adult for the past 5 years.
much
You've
you want
got
that?
to.
Within the discretion of those authorities, and those authorities gave us the discretion, are going to disregard that assault because we've been together for 6 years, and one domestic in 6 years.
But you guys, you're real good at the legal words. You really are, but you're not good at, like, protecting the 6-year-old. I'm so...
That's right.
I'm so concerned for her.
She wasn't protected. She wouldn't call me that.
Next up, a woman who says that the fathers of her children hate each other so much that one of them slashed the other one's tires and poured soda in his gas tank. We'll meet them next.
Don't believe these moms. I got one in school. They let their kids drop out of school.
She doesn't want to go.
But what about their education?
She doesn't believe in education.
If I go back to school, she's going to commit suicide.
What?
I'm going back to school if you like it or if you don't like it.
Her family doesn't understand how she could let her kid drop out of school.
I think she's crazy.
What's the big deal? On the next Ricki Lake.
Who say the fathers of their children hate each other. This is Tim and Stacy. Stacy says that Tim and Bruce, the father of her first child, don't get along at all, and it has become violent. Stacy, why do the fathers of your children hate each other?
My oldest son is by Bruce, and he was never around when Devin was growing up. But Timmy raised him. Bruce kept denying to come around. He made up excuses why he wouldn't come around. So Timmy just all of a sudden said, hey, you're not going to come around to see those boys. Why should you? You only come around 5 minutes, maybe once a year.
Okay, so he wasn't being the proper father,
no,
but yet...
he never wanted to come around.
Okay, so then what caused Tim to put soda in the gas tank and slash the tires?
I was at the bar with Bruce a couple weeks ago. Me and Timmy had separated for a couple weeks. I went to the bar with Bruce. Timmy found me at the bar with Bruce. He slashed off our tires, put gas in the gas tank, and messed up the handle somehow.
So it has nothing to do with the child we're talking about. It has to do with you.
No, it has to do with the child. Because Timmy wants to adopt him. Bruce doesn't want him to adopt him because of the fact that Bruce, he has a right to come over to see me then.
I see. You feel that Bruce is using the child to get to you.
Yeah.
All right, let's meet Bruce and talk to him. Bruce, come on out here. Bruce, thank you for being here. What do you have to say? I mean, why do you think he did that to your car?
Well, me and Stacy went to the bar to try to get along. She said that she didn't want to be with him no more. She wanted him out of his life.
Out of her life, yeah.
Out of her life, yeah. And, so we went there to try to get along. He shows up, and he's leaned over whispering in her ear for like 2 hours. He had her so mad and so upset she's shaking about crying and stuff. So I finally stood up for her and says, look, this is enough. Some of my friends helped me out, and they got him to leave. And that's why he was mad at me. So I guess that's why his childish nature kicked in and he slashed all my tires and tried to mess up my truck.
Stacy, is it true that you did say you didn't want to be with Tim anymore?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to give it up for a couple weeks so he can go get his life together and...
So it sounds to me like you were playing games with both of these men.
No, I wasn't playing
She didn't want to be broken up for just a couple weeks. See, she told me she wanted him out of her life completely because all she can do is be on state aid. She wanted to get off that, get a real job, get somebody who can have a job. She even filed a complaint against him the next day for stalking her.
What is this child going to grow up like? Seeing two grown men fight like this?
He'll grow up like him if he stays with him. See, all right, the only reason I wasn't part of his life is because I tried to keep seeing my kid.
But why are you...
I ended up in a hospital with heart failure from the stress.
You do not want to see your kid.
I ended up... You got a problem with your heart in the first place.
Tim, hang on.
Guys, geek, how would you know?
Bruce,
one at a time, guys, okay?
Take your child. Before Timmy ever come in the picture, I was living with my parents. I used to beg Bruce to come over and get the baby just to give me a break. My girlfriend used to take him, the baby, just to give me a break from him once in a while. And he would not even come over and take me to the doctors or anything. I had no vehicle at the time.
How many times did I take you to the doctors? The reason I wouldn't take my kid is because she wouldn't have my car seat at the house. Her friend would come pick up my son and drive away without my kid in the car seat. I told her I'm not going to drive around with my kid out, not in the car seat.
All right, yes, sir.
Excuse me, hello.
You could not wait an hour.
You people were once adult enough to conceive children. Okay, this is the way that I look at it. And now, there's so much he says, she said, that I don't know who's telling the right story. Keep in mind that there are people in this world that can't have children and want to bring them up in a beautiful, loving environment. You people are very sorry. Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
I went there to come over because Timmy is there. Timmy would not bother him if he come by every weekend to get him. But he won't. He makes up excuses.
Okay, this is all petty. Again, we're talking about petty stuff. There is a child. There's a 6-year-old boy at stake.
You get the money, don't you?
The Mark family, I've heard enough from you guys.
Obviously,
I swear, I have for now.
See, when I was coming over every week, they still had a problem with me. He still gave me crap. He threw a bottle at me while trying to drive away one day for seeing my kid down the middle of a busy street.
8 months later, you come back
and say, Mark, can I have my kid? 5 minutes. You come over for 5 minutes.
Because y'all told me to leave because he didn't want me in his house. That was yours.
Stacy, 5 minutes. I don't know whether you did tell him to leave.
A year? No, my kid is not going to come on Daddy's Day. He comes over 5 minutes, doesn't do nothing with him but yell at him. I'm not going to have my kid.
What do you want to say quickly?
Daddy, but they're not what happened to the
Hang on, guys.
Which guy is she with anyway?
I'm with Timmy.
Idiot.
As of the last 2 weeks, you're with Timmy.
An idiot, then like yourself.
All right. That's enough. You had to bring that up, didn't you, sir? Coming up next, a woman says the fathers of her children hate each other so much the first time they met, there was a fist fight. We'll meet them next.
love your child, you cannot say that's mommy and that's not daddy. That's every damn right!
On the next Ricki Lake, these moms let their kids drop out of school.
I don't want her in school.
She doesn't want to go. Her family doesn't understand how she could let her kid drop out of school.
I think she's crazy.
Next Ricki Lake.
Hey, girlfriend, I'm tired. We are talking to moms who say the fathers of their children can't stand each other. This is Patrick and his wife, Frida. Frida says that Patrick and Bobby, the father of 2 of her children, can't get along at all. Frida, tell us, how bad have things gotten between the two men?
It's gotten so bad that the first time that Patrick and Bobby met, Bobby smacked me and then pulled him out of the car, and they got into a real bad fist fight with my 2 kids in the car.
Now, why? He doesn't even know him. Why would he do that?
I have no idea. This is what I've been putting up with for the last 5 years.
Well, let's talk to Bobby today, and I stress the word talk. We're going to talk today. Bobby, come on out. Bobby, thank you for being here today. Why would you react that way to somebody you don't even know?
For one, she's done it out of spite. She brought him to piss me off.
No, I brought him with me because me and you got into an argument on the phone, and you had my children. I wanted my children back.
Oh, you could have got the children.
And what did you do? You smacked me. You smacked me before you put them in the car.
I didn't even touch you.
Yeah, are these kids aware of what's going on?
Yes, they are. And it's my 4-year-old son is so screwed up from this.
You still remember that day?
He tells it like it's a story. When he gets done talking, he says, "The end." That's not right for a 4-year-old.
And you feel like it's the influence of Bobby?
Yes, it is.
No, I don't think so.
Bobby, is it possible for the 2 of you to be able to get along for the sake of your children?
Well, I could get along, but she gets what she does. She says things like, one time I asked her, when can I have my kids? And, oh, you can't have them this weekend. Why not? It's my time.
And that was the reason why that was because my baby that is.
But that's what the court system is there for. You go to court and you fight for your rights to see your children on the time that you are supposed to see them. You don't use your hands.
And the reason why you didn't get to see them that weekend is because my 7-week-old baby was back in the hospital and was hooked up to life support, and I didn't know if he was going to make it.
Well, you could have walked.
Sounds like a pretty good reason.
Well, I could have had kids then while you was doing all that stuff. I could have came and picked
My
him up.
baby was in the hospital, Bobby. I did not know if he was going to make it.
Well,
your baby did make it?
Yes, he did make it. He's 4 weeks old.
All right. Yes. What do you want to say, sir?
This question's for Craig. If things are so bad where your daughter's living, why haven't you filed for custody of your daughter?
I am.
We're in the process of doing that right now.
He did file a report
Takes a lot of
thrown
money.
out of court, along with his personal body being thrown out of court.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
No, Ricki, I seem to see a trend here. It looks like all of you guys are suffering from victim syndrome, meaning that nobody wants to take responsibility. And I think the first step is...
You should only take responsibility.
Yeah, but there's
Don't get them started.
That's what I'm saying. Stop the bickering and the hostility and take some time to listen. All your mouths are open, but nothing real is coming out.
That's what I want. I want all of it to stop.
What do you want today? What do you want?
What I want is for them 2 to get along. There should be no reason why he should not be able to come to the house and see the kids anytime without a fight. That is all I want.
Yeah, I mean, you said yourself...
take my kids when I want them.
You get your kids...
You said I had to have my parents watching over me. I'm a grown-up.
That's through the courts.
No, that's through you because you asked for it.
Yes, I did ask for it because you need help.
You need help. You're the one. You want to talk about help? You're the one that went to the place. That place, what's it called? What do you call it? Charter? Charter?
Yes,
I got a piece of paper saying who needs help? You.
No, I took our 4-year-old son to Charter because he is.
No.
Guys.
You're the one that's going to Charter.
Okay, we don't need to raise our voices. We're all listening loud and clear. We can hear you. Yes, sir.
I'd like to know where everybody's from. I'd like to know because I don't see nobody representing from New York here. You know what I'm saying? What?
Well, believe me, this kind of violence goes on in New York too. I'm sorry to say, but it goes on here too.
I see that, man.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Well, it was my son that I took to charter because he's in Head Start, and they said he had a problem.
No, that's wrong.
I'm the one that took
This
him.
is before she's done any of this.
All right.
She wrote a note to my mom and dad saying, I'm sorry.
But again, we're looking at Penny. We're looking at one instance. We got to look at the big picture. What is going to happen to this child? Already he's misbehaving.
My boy's pretty
because
smart.
my kids call him daddy.
Your boy is pretty smart. That's why he's picking up all this behavior.
Yeah, but I tell my
son,
I don't like Pat. I don't like Pat, and Dad doesn't like Pat. You know.
You shouldn't tell your 4-year-old kid that you don't like his
I don't like
stepdad.
you.
Because Robert loves him.
Yes, ma'am. What do you want to say?
Earlier you called the people on the panel children. I believe you're acting like children now. No one's listening to anybody. You're talking at each other. It's petty things that you're talking about. It's ridiculous.
Thank God we have Dr. Jeffrey Gardere here. All right. We need to take a break. Next up, two dads who say it almost got physical between them, but they have stopped the fighting for the sake of the children. We'll hear from them next.
Do you carry a box cutter or a razor for protection? If you carry a box cutter and you aren't afraid to use it, you could be a guest. Call 1-800-GO-RICKY. You must be 18 or older to call.
Of their children hate each other. Joining us now is Dan. Dan says that he used to have the same problems that these guests did. Dan, what's your secret?
Well, in the past, the mother had custody of the children, and when I would come home from work, I didn't like the environment they were living in.
We do have the mother we're talking about here, Amber and Dan, and Rob, rather.
And I would come home late from work. Sometimes she would let me go see my children, and there would be people there late after hours when my children were trying to get some sleep for school. And I had a bad day, so I would just come and explode.
And so you used to have a thing against Rob, but what changed? What caused you to grow up and behave like an adult?
Well, in the past I had problems and everything. I would go to jail a lot and everything because of situations like this. But we realized we were hurting the children, not ourselves. And what made us sit down and think about it was we would sit there. Amber and I would argue, and Rob would just let us, because we're the parents, and then he would tell us, calm down, because my son would run to him, or they would run to the bedroom or bathroom and start screaming.
So you saw the way they were behaving.
Right, and like I said, maybe we're selfish, and we realized we were hurting the children more.
You need to rise above for the sake of your children. And what caused you not to take action physically?
It was really the kids, because the stuff that they're going through, and me and Dan were arguing, and Nate arguing, and the kids would just tear down and cry and run and hide, and it wasn't worth it. We hurt them more than we hurt ourselves.
Well, you made a smart move. How are your kids doing today?
They're doing great, and my kids love both of them. They can go to both of them. I'll be at work. He can go pick up the kids at Dan's house.
And they're both civil with one another.
It's great.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. Thank you. You're living proof that it can work. Thank you. Also joining us, of course, is Dr. Jeffrey Gardere, relationship expert. Jeffrey, thank you for being here once again. Please, just give us some advice. We need it.
Well, it's quite obvious with all the people on the stage, except for the last few people that we've seen, that the prize, the eyes on the prize, so to say, are the kids. And before you guys can get to the prize, you have to understand that there are no winners here, okay? They're all losers, and the losers are the children. Now, in listening to everything that you've said, and really listen to what I'm saying to you, because this is something that you can accomplish. It seems, number one, that there is a past history with you guys and with you women, and you've never worked that out, and you're trying to work it out with the kids, involving them, trying to turn the kids against the other parent and so on. All you're going to end up doing is screwing up these kids. So the first thing you have to do, and I heard someone, I think Craig, say this, is you have to get family mediation. So you can deal with all the past stuff, all the past crap, if I can use that term, that you guys never, yeah, I did, that you guys never did work through. That's number one. Number two, hold on, darling, hold on. Number two, Once you do that, you all have to establish rules that you all can live with as far as getting along with one another. And finally, when you establish those rules for getting along with one another, then you need to establish rules for visitation with your children and where your children will end up right now. Because I'll tell you, I work with foster care a lot in New York City, and I can tell you now that none of you would pass the test of getting these kids.
Bonnie has something to say. Yes, Bonnie.
I have a question. What do you do when you've already gone to mediation and mediation tells you we can no longer help you? You are on your own.
It's because you have to listen to what they tell you.
Guys, one at a time. Yes.
I've never heard of any mediation. I've never had any patient who's come to my office where I've said that I can't help you. The day that comes that I can't help a patient, then I don't need to be in the business. And whatever mediator told you they couldn't help you, you went to the wrong mediator.
All right, I want to get this next comment. He's been waiting all hour. What do you want to say, sir?
All right, what I see going on is a bunch of finger pointing between the parents and all the kids are being neglected out of this.
Yeah, I think it's obvious. Thank you, sir. More with Jeffrey Gardere when we come back. Don't go away.
You won't believe these moms. They let their kids drop out of school. I got one in school.
I think she's crazy.
Next, Ricki Lake.
Hi, we are back talking with Dr. Gardere. Jeffrey, I've noticed that throughout the show, it looked like everyone was going to come up and they were this close to violence. It looks like they were just about, no? They're shaking their heads no, but watching here, I was afraid that someone was going to get hit.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of denial up here and a lot of unresolved anger. And the only way that it can be resolved, today was the first step. I mean, you guys actually sat down with one another and were able to discuss the issues. But what you need to leave here with is some sort of understanding as to what really happened. And that was that you talked to one another. And this will never resolve itself unless you are all able to give each other respect and listen to one another's viewpoints.
Ricki, one more thing.
Yes, Craig.
You gotta want to be helped to get when you're in a mediation to make it work. If you don't want to have it work,
Guys, Bobby, please.
Ricki.
You also have to stick to those mediation agreements.
mediation appointment to make it work.
If we've learned anything, we've turned.
Stay out of it, Lori. That was yours.
All right, guys, if we've learned anything this afternoon, it should be that we talk one at a time, Bonnie. Remember, one at a time. Bobby, what are you yelling about?
She never gives me time to compromise or anything. Ari?
You are the one that needs help. I was
went to
pregnant with
classes.
his
I went to
baby. He
classes.
said he was going to punch me in my stomach and give me a
She started.
tell my 4-year-old
She started going like this with both of my
All right,
children.
Dr. Gardere, if you could talk to Bobby, because he's one of the people I'm concerned about.
He definitely needs
See,
help.
guys, this is Bob. But this is the deal. The deal is, what does this have to do with the kids? This has to do between you and her. And that's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of past history. There's a lot of past history.
One day she could be
There's a lot of past history that you guys need to work through. And if you don't work through that past history, you cannot talk about what's happening now or getting custody. But you have to let her live her life.
Guys,
she needs
no
help.
one's listening.
If
No
she
one is
feels
listening.
that she needs help, and I do think that you do need help, you need to get that through counseling.
They
If you
both
can't
need
help
help.
yourself, you cannot make judgments against someone else.
She's offered to go take this counseling. She's even denied it.
Yes.
Yes, this is to Mike. Before when the doctor was talking,
Mike, this one's for you.
you were shaking your head like this. Well, let me tell you, I lost my husband, okay? And I went through the same situation everybody's going through here. And I lost my son. And what I've been going through, I don't want nobody here to go through.
What do you mean you lost your son?
My son was killed because he went to a party, okay? And his father was never there for him, and we used to always be fighting because he got remarried. His wife he didn't want the kids over there or whatever. But he lost, my son was 16 when he was killed. And his father, to this day, he don't even go to the cemetery to see his son.
You don't want these families to come to what you've gone through.
Because you see, my husband was killed 2 years ago. And my daughters, I let my father see them weekends. And he was killed right in front of my kids, okay? My kids saw their father get killed right in front of them because two people arguing.
I think what you're saying
Don't go
is...
through that.
I
Don't
think
go
what,
through that.
I
Don't
think
let your
what she's
kids go
saying
through
to,
that.
I think what she's saying to the panel, and I agree with what she's saying to you, is you're spending all this time arguing and hating one another, but in the meantime, your kids are growing up without proper parents.
But we've done
What's the problem, Bonnie?
We did the mediation. They threw their hands up, and he didn't even stick to his mediation agreement. And I mediated with her also.
Visitation hours. Come and go as he please. Went to mediation.
They make babies when they don't know.
Yes, ma'am, what do you want to say?
I just want to say that
You are a liar.
not any one of you up there has accepted the responsibility of becoming a parent, and your mothers especially. The mothers especially.
Custody of my children, and I finally have custody because I tried.
So it took you 4 years. You hung in there and you did get custody of your children.
We're fighting back and forth all the time. But you know what? We did. We sat down for the children. Like this couple over here. This man, you're going to end up in jail for cutting tires, throwing pop in the gas. How are you going to support your children?
It was either slicing his tires or whooping his ass in front of him.
Yeah, good question before we go to break. Bruce, are you pressing charges for the tires?
There's no way you can support your children. You're going to be sitting behind bars. And for you to say that your child cannot call him daddy, that made me mad. Because you do not have no right to tell your child you cannot say that's mommy and that's not daddy. They have every damn right.
Need to take a break. We'll be back after this. For being here today, especially Dr. Jeffrey Gardere. How is he? He was great, huh? Thank you, Jeffrey, once again. When you're a parent, it doesn't really matter if you hate the other parent or not. The most important thing is the well-being of your children. Your children deserve to grow up in a peaceful, loving home. So put your differences aside, and for the sake of your children, please stop the fighting. To my guests, I urge you all to watch this tape when it airs and look at your behavior and see if truly this is the way a parent should be acting. Thank you. Thanks to you at home. See you next time. Promotional fees have been paid by the following. New York area and want to be a part of our live studio audience, all you have to do is write for tickets. Please include your name, address, and daytime phone number. Write Ricki Lake Tickets, 401 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016.